It's always a great feeling when Jason Lord looks over and says, I think this will work.
It was 50-50 shot, and thankfully the 50-50 worked.
This is the equivalent of watching the passenger land the plane. It just, please. All right, so let's get to it. And the Monday night game, the initial Monday night game, and they'll announce this whole thing tonight. Number one, you knew it was going to be a New York team, either the Giants or the Jets, because the game is September 11th. And it turns out that, what the heck, let's have Aaron Rodgers debut and put him up against the Buffalo Bills. That makes sense. It's not only the Jets just outside of New York City, but it is also New York State's only team. So you got the Bills and you have the Jets, and they'll play the Monday night game on ESPN. So that's the latest one that was leaked out. And tonight the entire schedule is going to be out. Did I ask you this yesterday? I may have. Do you actually watch this?
No. Yeah, I don't watch it. No, if I miss it, I'm gonna see where who plays who 5 minutes later.
Right.
Yeah, that's not urgent. And the Sixers game 6 is tonight, so there's no way.
And I know that people watch this.
Oh, there's no doubt.
They tell me, the schedule, I can't wait. It's one of my favorite nights. I'm like, favorite nights? All they're telling you is what sequence the games are.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I don't know how it's one of your favorite nights. The draft, I can see.
No, but
your team's getting better or worse.
I've had people tell me that, though. It's one of their favorite nights. I'm like, okay, it's fine. You know, I don't take away from anybody's favorite night what that means. It's just fine. But yeah, that's the latest one to leak out is Aaron Rodgers' debut with the Jets, and it's going to be against the Buffalo Bills. So there you are. Last night, by the way, the Warriors staved off elimination.
Yep.
The Knicks staved off elimination.
Did their best to blow it, but held off elimination.
Yes. The Oilers bounced back and tied the series.
I don't know if there's a better NHL team on the power play than the Warriors, than the Oilers. Yeah, they are unbelievable.
Yeah, but you know what? They are not a good defensive team.
No, they're not.
They are not a good defensive team. I mean, Skinner, the goalie, should sue for support. Because he's sitting there going, okay. And the Maple Leafs staved off elimination. Another team that has some defensive issues along the way. And a guy that I think is fabulous on TV, Keith Jones, is now the new president of the Philadelphia Flyers. So, there you go. It's a career change for him because I have felt like as a TV analyst, he has been great over the years. I've really enjoyed him. Now he's going to go into that pressure cooker. Okay. So there you are. Have you seen how bad the Oakland A's actually are? Do you know what they are 8-30 now, I think. Is it 8-30? Something like that.
Yeah, they're bad.
They have a team ERA of 7.31. They have an on-base percentage of .313. Okay, that's not the batting average. That's the on-base percentage. .313. They're brutal. I mean, I feel like I'm watching the real-life version of Major League where she wanted to move the team to Miami. These guys are moving to Las Vegas, and I don't think they can get out of town fast enough.
Do you want us to lose? No, we've been losing. I want for us to finish dead last.
So what is the opening game of the NFL season?
That one is confirmed, yes.
It is the Kansas City Chiefs.
It is.
At Arrowhead, hosting the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The Lions are a team that can sneak up on a few people.
Got it.
They are now. Would they be? Are they the team I would have picked for Week 1? Probably not. I think you probably want like the Bills or the Eagles or somebody like that. But or the Bengals. I think the Bengals could have been a good matchup too.
Well, they're already playing the Bengals.
New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. This could have been the open. One of them could have been the opener. But the Lions are a team that I think can. I don't want to say they could shock anybody because I don't think they're going to sneak up on anybody this year because I think they're a pretty good team. But
they won 8 of their last 10 games.
Yeah, they did. They were a team I wouldn't want to see in the playoffs. I think the 1 and 2 seeds were the Eagles and 49ers and beyond. We're very fortunate they didn't see them in the playoffs because they were on fire and knocked Aaron Rodgers out at Lambeau last week of the year in what turned out to be his last Packers game. Yeah, they're a solid team. Campbell's turned that program around, or that team around. Yeah. There's no question about it. And had an okay draft. I thought drafted pretty well in the first couple rounds. End of the draft, they sort of threw in the towel. But I think, to me, this is a team that could scare a few people, but I just don't think they have that national aura just yet. And that's what I think you're looking for Week 1. That's why I think Eagles or Bengals or Bills or somebody like that would have been the matchup that I probably would have gone with. But that should be a good game. I think the Lions are a pretty good team. But, again, I just think for national exposure purpose, I'm not sure I would have gone with the Lions in that spot.
That's where you feel that you can get away with anything. The Chiefs and the Detroit Lions opening game. Now, they considered the Chargers, the Bills, and the Eagles, but instead they matched up the Bills with the Jets on Monday Night Football.
Yep.
The Chiefs are also going to play the Raiders on Christmas in Kansas City. That game will air on both CBS, and that is the Nickelodeon game. The 49ers have announced a pair of games. The 49ers will host the Dallas Cowboys Week 5, October 8th.
Yes. Sunday night game.
And they will play in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Week 13 on December 3rd. So, 2 games involving your team.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And my understanding is they're scouring the streets trying to find a quarterback.
They very well might be, and they could be doing that exact same thing by week 13 still. So that unfortunately, that's what we're seeing.
These are your people, man.
I'll tell you, they are my people, and my people, hint hint, might be working the holidays. That's the rumor. So we'll see.
Yeah, Christmas is a Monday this year.
Christmas is a Monday this year. Yes.
Now remember this: next year, because it is leap year.
Yeah,
I'm talking about 2024.
Yep.
So it's not going to be like, hey, maybe they'll play Tuesday. No, Christmas
is a Wednesday. Yeah, they can't do it.
So they can't. There's no way. Play any games.
No, and the NBA is saying thank you.
Yeah,
because that is their day.
Because the Sixers are playing on Christmas Day, and they think the game is opposite the Eagles.
Oh, in Philly, that's oof. Yeah, that is. So the Sixers are.
I think the Sixers have been chosen to play on Christmas Day.
They're going to play in Philly.
I don't know.
They're going to do their best. They're going to do their best to say, "Hey, let's not play that game in Philly."
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Look, they knocked the Celtics out of the playoffs. Good chance Sixers Celtics play Christmas Day next year. But if I'm
Sixers are not going to win tonight.
I've seen so many nightmares against the Celtics. It's hard for me to say they're going to win tonight. I have seen so many nightmares in my lifetime with the Sixers playing the Celtics. It's very hard for me to. I'm to quote Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. And man, it is not when you play the Celtics when you're in a Sixers uniform. There's just been so many times over the years I felt like they were the better team. And they came up in the short end.
I had no idea who was going to win tonight. I just thought I'd say it just to get your gut.
I have seen some heartbreakers.
Mets Phillies next year in London.
Yeah, I saw that. Did see that.
So that's the other one. Yeah. All right. So you got all that going on at this particular time. there's nothing new on the that I know of on the gambling front.
No, not that I know.
With the stories that have been circulating, of course, about the University of Iowa. Bob Huggins, 3-game suspension, $1 million, and he has to go through counseling. Then there is this story from St. John's. Mike Anderson had been their head coach. Well, now Rick Pitino is. He is seeking $45.6 million from St. John's. He claims the school fired him with cause in March, only so the school could avoid paying his buyout and use the money to hire Rick Pitino. So he filed a notice of intention to arbitrate. His lawyer is Michael Keene of Garfunkel Wild, and Anderson says he's seeking $11.4 million that was left on his contract, in addition to $34.2 million in punitive damages. Okay. And according to the termination letter obtained by ESPN, Anderson was fired for failure to create and support an environment that strongly encourages student athletes who are in the men's basketball program to meet all the university's academic requirements. Failure to perform your duties and responsibilities in a manner that reflected positively on St. John's University, and actions that brought serious discredit to the school. Failure to appropriate, supervise, and communicate with your assistant coaches. You can kind of make that one up. I mean,
there's no doubt.
Let's start with this.
Yeah.
Okay. Who for St. John's was ineligible?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a good start.
No.
Like you're looking around, they're all eligible.
Yeah.
Okay. So Anderson claims that St. John's had tried to offer him a buyout for less than $11.4 million. He says they created fictitious problems within his program and fired him for cause on March 10th. The university, of course, has not responded to any of this.
Well, sure they're not going to. Well, they don't even need to right now. At all.
Anderson claims the school had already entered into advanced talks with Pitino, who was officially hired on March 20th. Anderson said he never changed and represented the school. Said he never changed and represented the school in a first-class manner after he signed his extension in 2021 until the day he was dismissed in March. He said St. John's instead focused on marshaling enough assets for an offer for Pitino. Terms of the deal between Pitino and St. John's have never been announced. Sources have told ESPN that it's a 6-year deal worth $20 million. All right. The attorney says St. John's manufactured out of whole cloth its preposterous for-cause termination of Mr. Anderson's employment with the sole purpose of attempting to extricate the university from its $11.4 million ironclad contractual obligation to Mr. Anderson, specifically so they could otherwise divert those funds to Mr. Pitino, according to his representative. Anderson at St. John's, 68-56, went 30-46 in the Big East. In the documents, Anderson, who had previously announced his intent to sue St. John's, said the school in February began making false accusations that he had been dealing with cognitive issues. During a hostile phone call per Anderson's legal filing, Joseph Oliva, the general counsel for St. John's, told one of the former head coach's representatives that Anderson did not in any way resemble the coach from the prior 4 years and seemed gone mentally. In his legal filing, Anderson also refuted the school's claim that his team had struggled academically, citing the program's Big East Academic Excellence Award in 2020 for the highest cumulative GPA in the conference, the first time it ever happened in program history. So the team's GPA slipped after COVID, but never to a degree that would jeopardize his program's APR. I think everybody's GPA slipped during COVID. The The arbitration documents filed by Anderson also accused the school of hypocrisy by firing him for cause, but hiring Pitino, who had been meshed in one of the highly publicized sensational scandal after another over the years. Louisville fired Pitino for cause in 2017, citing a scandal involving escorts who had been hired for parties for recruits and resulted in the school vacating its 2013 national title, and also an FBI investigation surrounding former recruit Brian Bowen II. Final ruling from the NCAA outside enforcement arm on the FBI case exonerated Pitino, and his lawsuit against Louisville for the amount remaining in his contract was settled 2 years ago. But he wants $45.6 million. $45.6 million. All right, so now let's get to comings and goings in college basketball. All right, we can do this in football too. Basketball is a little easier to do. Okay, because limited numbers. The transfer portal for men's basketball closes tomorrow. There are still about 1,400 names in that portal. All right, so this is the way it's been compiled. Illinois. Okay, so let's have a little fun with this. How many guys for Illinois are expected to return? And you're not going to know any of these, so these are all going to be guesses. So
how many?
It's unfair to you, but I'm just having fun with it.
How many for Illinois? I'm going to say 5.
Came up with 4, could be 5. Very good. So
yeah.
Dane Danger.
Yeah, New Danger. Yep.
Ty Rogers,
Yep.
Sincere Harris, Luke Goody.
Good, he'll be there. Yep.
And then they're wondering about Coleman Hawkins because he's going to do the G League Combine. Okay. Among the departed, Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, Jay Nepps, Sky Clark, R.J. Melendez, Brandon Lieb. They have brought in 4 transfers. They redshirted Nicola Moretti. They have Amani Hansberry, who's considered one of the better recruits in the country, and Draven Gibbs Lawhorn. They brought in a transfer from Southern Illinois, one from Utah Valley, that's Justin Harmon, Quincy Guerriere, who played against Penn State when he was at Syracuse, but he then eventually transferred to Oregon. Now he's gone to Illinois. And Keaton Kutcher from South Dakota. Okay, so Indiana. How many returnees for Indiana?
Well, Indiana should have a couple more. I'm going to say 7.
6. Very good. 6. The departed, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Looks like he's going to be a first-round pick in the NBA. He and Trace Jackson Davis, just like Seth Lundy and Jalen Pickett, 2 of the 78 in the NBA Combine, not the G League, 2 of the 78 in the NBA Combine. Jalen Hood-Schifino, Trace Jackson Davis, Brace Thompson, Miller Kopp, Jordan Geronimo, Tamar Bates transferred. Geronimo, by the way, Bates went to Missouri. Geronimo, by the way, transferred to Maryland. And Logan Duncombe, I think, went to Xavier. So expected back, Malik Renault, Trey Galloway, Caleb Banks, C.J. Gunn, Anthony Leal, and it looks like Xavier Johnson's going to come back. He had bad injury. Missed last 24 games for them, something like that. But they think he'll be back as their point guard. Gabe Cupps, Chakai Newton, Peyton Sparks, good player out of Ball State, Khalil Ware out of Oregon, and Anthony Walker from Miami transferring in. Okay, Iowa.
Iowa is going to have, I'm trying to think here, they had an experienced team. I'm going to say, I actually say about 4 on that one.
5.
5, yeah.
Again, he's at a total disadvantage here, so it's all guesswork.
Yep.
Chris Murray, Philip Rabracha, Connor McCaffrey, Aaron Eulis, who transferred in the conference, ended up going to Nebraska. And those guys are gone. Expected back, Tony Perkins, good player. Peyton Sanderford, who really came on, played well. Patrick McCaffrey, played well down the stretch. Desante Bowen and Josh Dix. Now, Peyton Sanford's brother, Price, is with them now. Owen Freeman, Brock Harding, these are all, freshman recruits. Ben Crickey from Valpo, 19 points a game, and Evan Bronze from Belmont transferring in. Maryland
should have. They should have about 6.
7.
Yeah.
So you're doing really well.
Yeah.
Hart, Cornish, Carey, Emilian, Revez, they're gone. Okay. But Jameer Young's coming back.
Yeah, Young will be back
for an extra year.
Yep.
Julian Reese.
Yeah, Reese.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's really improved. He's really improved. Dante Scott. Okay. Ian Martinez. Noah Batchelor. Jahari Long. And Caleb Swanton-Roger. All back. And they're going to bring in Jordan Geronimo from Indiana. Chance Stevens from Loyola Marymount. And then they have some pretty good recruits. I mean, right out of the gate, Deshaun Harris-Smith, who's ranked in the top 50 by some. Jamie Kaiser, who's ranked in the top 75 by some. Michigan.
Michigan should have, I think they're starting 5 last year. They should have about 5.
6. Again, you're doing great. Doug McDaniel, Terrence Williams, Terrace Reed, Will Cheddar, Jace Howard, and Yusuf Kayat. And they're still wondering about whether Jalen Llewellyn will come back or not. He had transferred in from Princeton. He got hurt. He never did play against Penn State. Did not play in either game because he got hurt before the Penn State game up in Ann Arbor. They end up losing Jed Howard, NBA draft. Kobe Buffkin, who, by the way, apparently is moving up in the NBA draft. Hunter Dickinson, we documented his trip to Kansas yesterday. Joey Baker had asked for an extra year, did not get it from the NCAA. Isaiah Barnes transferred. Greg Glenn transferred. They're bringing in Caleb Love from North Carolina. Trey Jackson from Seton Hall. Okay, Namari Burnett from Alabama to go with George Washington, who is their one freshman recruit. Michigan State.
Well, they're going to obviously lose Hauser. I'm trying to think if they're going to, obviously the Akins, I think, is up in the air yet, right? So
yes, he's up in the air. Yep.
You're going to have, you're going to still have.
They got a lot of guys back.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to still have, you're going to have a good amount. I actually say 8 for them.
6 plus 2 in limbo.
Because you're going to have 2 graduates.
Right, so they lose Joey Hauser, and then Pierre Brooks transferred out. They still have Tyson Walker. Malik Hall is going to his 7th year. No, I'm just kidding. Malik Hall, Jackson Kohler, Matty Sasako, Trey Holloman, Carson Cooper. They're not sure yet on Jaden Akins, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
And they're not sure yet about A.J. Hogard. I cannot imagine Hogard not coming back.
No, I think Akins is probably about 50-50. I think there's a good chance he could come back. I think that's...
Well, it depends on what the NBA ratings are. But I'm sorry, Hogard is...
Yeah.
I can't see it. But
no, I can't either.
Me. And then they've got Xavier Booker, who's one of the top 20 recruits in the country. Jeremy Fears, who's a top 30 guy. Cohen Carr, who's a top 30 guy, and then Gary Normand. Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. This is going to be, I'm going to go with 3.
All right, it's 5. They kept Dawson Garcia, who had transferred in from North Carolina. Farrell Payne, who, by the way, played very well against Penn State up at Williams. Joseph Ola Joseph, Braden Carrington, and Will Ramberg. Ramberg's the one guy that's been there the whole time. They lose Jamison Battle. He transferred to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Talon Cooper, Jaden Henley, Taurus Samuels, and Trayton Thompson. They're bringing in Cameron Christie, and who's a freshman. Their transfers include Jack Wilson, who didn't do much at Washington State, Mike Mitchell, who did okay at Pepperdine, and Elijah Hawkins out of Howard. Nebraska.
Oh, that's another one. I say 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're close.
Yeah.
And maybe a 6th.
Well,
okay.
They excel at adding 7 or 8 transfers and plugging them into the starting lineups.
Well, we've already mentioned Aaron Eulis, who's transferring from Iowa. He's in the mix. So this is what they have. Juwan Gary, remember he got hurt last year. He did not play against Penn State, but it played well. C.J. Wilcher, Jamarcus Lawrence. For some unknown reason, Sam Hoiberg's going to stick it out. Play for Dad. And Blaze Keita. Okay. Kisei Tominaga, we're not sure about. I can't imagine he's going anywhere. He'll stay there, but he's considered to be in limbo. They lose Derek Walker, Sam Griesel, Emmanuel Bodemel, Denham Dawson, very athletic, Oleg Kojenets, Quan McPherson, and Wilhelm Breedenbach, who on the Seven Mountains team, we're running sets, and he has to take an outside shot. I don't want him taking the shot. They're going to bring in one freshman, Eli Rice. Bryce Williams from Charlotte. Rank Mass from Bradley. Aaron Eulis from Iowa. And Josiah Alec from New Mexico. Northwestern.
Northwestern should have a couple back. Yeah, they've got probably 5 or 6.
They have 6. Boo Booey's coming back.
Yep.
Ty Berry. Brooks Barnheiser, who was just terrific against Penn State. Matthew Nicholson, really improved as a big man. Nick Martinelli. And Luke Hunger. They've lost Chase Audige. Robbie Barron transferred. Titus Verhoeven and Julian Roper ended up going to Notre Dame. They're bringing in Ryan Langborg from Princeton, Justin Mullins from Denver, Blake Preston from Liberty, and then their recruits are Jordan Clayton, Blake Barkley, and Peter Strauss. Ohio State.
They don't. Yeah, they were a young team last year. Actually, gonna say 5 on them.
4.
4. Yeah.
Bruce Thornton, like him a lot. Zed Key, I do like him. Roddy Gale and Felix Akpara. Okay. They're losing Bryce Sensabaugh, NBA draft, Justice Sewing, Sean McNeil. Now those guys were 5th-year guys. Isaac Likely, same story. Tanner Holden and Eugene Brown. They're bringing in Scotty Middleton, who's a top 50 guy. Tayson Chapman, he's a top 50 guy. Devin Royal is considered to be a top 50 guy. Austin Parks. Now, their transfers include Jamison Battle from Minnesota, Evan Mahaffey from Penn State, and Dale Bonner from Baylor. Okay. Purdue.
You're going to lose. Well, yeah.
They got a lot of people back.
Yeah, I was going to say, you may not lose. I'm going to say 7 on them.
7. You're right on the money. 7.
Yeah.
So, obviously, okay, the guys they've lost, Brandon Newman transferred out.
Yep.
David Jenkins had exhausted his.
Yep.
Okay. And they're trying to see what the deal is. I mean, Edey is one of the 78 players in the NBA Combine. But again,
man, if it was...
It's going to be interesting because he is...
if it was 2002... He'd be top 3 pick in the draft.
He might be the first pick in the draft.
He really would be. Unfortunately, we've reached the point now where, the NBA has caught up. Well, not caught up. The NBA has become what college and high school were for many, many years and still is. And that's guard play. I think you got to have that dominant guard play. That's going to be the guy. And obviously, Wembanyama coming out is going to be huge, too. So, coming from international. But I think there's no doubt he would have been a top 5 pick 10, 15 years ago. Now it's, I don't know. I think it's going to be tough.
So Edey is a maybe. Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, the 2 guards, they now become sophomores. Mason Gillis, who was at Mackey, had the game of his life against Penn State. Trey Kaufman-Wren, Caleb First, Ethan Morton out of Butler, and I mean Butler, Pennsylvania,
Yep.
and Brian Waddell. They're going to add in Miles Colvin and also Lance Jones transferred in from Southern Illinois. Rutgers.
Rutgers should have a few back too. I'm going to say 6.
5.
5?
5 with 2 in limbo. But I think the guys in limbo will come back.
Yep.
So they could end up with 7. So definitely gone. Caleb McConnell, Oscar Palmquist, Dean Reber, and Jalen Miller. Waiting to see, and I think the weight will lean them back toward New Brunswick, will be Cliff Amori and Paul Mulcahy. Back, Cam Spencer, good shooting guard. Andre Hyatt, who had his best season. He originally transferred from LSU. Derek Simpson, who played very well here. Mawat Mag, when he left the lineup, they lost a lot with him. Antoine Woolfolk, who had been Amori's backup. They're bringing in Gavin Griffiths, considered a top 50 guy. Noah Fernandez played against Penn State when he was UMass. Good player. Noah Fernandez is a good player. And Jamichael Davis is another freshman recruit. But Fernandez is a good pickup for them from UMass. Again, he played against Penn State. I was impressed by him. Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's... They should have...
They had a lot.
Yeah. Wisconsin should have... I'm going to say 6.
9.
9. Whew.
9 back. The only guy they lose is the veteran group's Jordan Davis.
Wow.
Chucky Hepburn. Well, when I was doing the Maryland thing, I should have mentioned Jordan Geronimo. He transferred from Indiana to Maryland, so I apologize for that. Jordan Davis, the only guy that transferred out of Wisconsin. They still are going to have Chucky Hepburn, Stephen Crowell, Connor Segan, Tyler Wall, Max Klesmit, Kamari McGee, Carter Gilmore, Isaac Lindsey, and Marcus Ilver are all back.
Phew.
Right? They only have one transfer they brought in. That's A.J. Storr from St. John's. Yeah, and then 2 freshmen, Gus Yalden and Nolan Winter. That's it. But see, I mean, I bring all this up because it's an example of how
much of a
transient college basketball happens to be.
It's been, especially.
And this is an example across the board. It depends on who you are, what the philosophy is. Now, we all know that Penn State's had to bring in transfers. I mean, Penn State has brought in 7 transfers right now. They have 3 guys remaining. So they're at 10 now. Because I'm trying to remember if we mentioned on the show yesterday about Raquandis Mitchell from UMKC coming in. I cannot tell you a single thing about him.
I can't either.
All I can tell you, I can recite his stats.
Yep.
I can recite his double-figure games. I can recite all that. I've never seen him play.
Nope.
So
Not
my first impression with him will be of watching him practice. Like I said, there's so many of these guys I've seen. It's easy for me to sit there and talk about Noah Fernandez. I've seen him play. I saw him play in person. Right? When they were considering Jalen DeLoach and Darius Maddox, one was from VCU, one was from Virginia Tech. I saw them both play in person. Right? So I mean, you could talk about their game, what they can, what they can't do. Mitchell's a guy I can't. I've never seen him play, so don't know. Qudus Wahab played against Penn State, both at Maryland and Georgetown. Okay, both. So there's certain guys you've seen. I mean, I've seen Ace Baldwin play. It's so it's right. But Mitchell's one I've never seen play. Not even on TV.
Same.
So I'm sure Ray Q has got something to him, and I'll find out this summer when I watch him practice. But that is where you are with this. When you have 1,400 still in the transfer portal and it ends, your ability to enter it ends tomorrow as an underclassman.
Yep.
If you have your degree, you can go in any time you want. If you have your degree. And that's, and I always have felt in doing the show over the years that the best way to illustrate the transient nature of college basketball is to then sit down and say, okay, here are Penn State's 13 opponents. Let's see who's back and who transferred and who's transferred in. Just so everyone can sit there and they can get an idea of, wow, it is transient. And and I was talking to Dick Girardi the other day, and he said, we were just talking about the transfers that were coming in here. And this is before Mitchell had committed. And I said, well, at this moment, and Mitchell, by the way, is a one and done, just so you know. And he would be a one and done with Wahab. And what was the other one and done? There's one more one and done in the group. Oh, it's O'Boyle from Lafayette. Okay. Everybody else has multiple years remaining. So 4 of the transfers come in and have multiple years remaining. And Dick said, you know what, the way things are now, he says, we just take it 1 year at a time.
Yeah,
I said,
no
you
doubt.
know what? You are so correct.
Yeah.
1 year at a time. And that's how you have to look at all
There's
this.
no doubt at this point.
Let's take Illinois, for example. They bring in Jaden Epps and Sky Clark, 2 highly thought of recruits that are freshmen this past season. Clark has some issues off the court, and he had to bow out a third of the way in. Epps ends up being the starting point guard. I mean, he's okay. I mean, not a great player, but, he's good enough to play, start, make some contributions. They're both gone. They're both gone. And there was no change in head coach. It's the same guy. It's still Brad Underwood.
Yeah.
And now, I can see, for example, let's take Bryce Sensabaugh. Right? He and Thornton. Now, Thornton's coming back. Sensabaugh has entered the draft. Well, Sensabaugh shouldn't enter the draft. Right? I mean, there's no surprise he entered the draft. Right? So it's not a case of, they didn't do a good job with that freshman class. No, they did a great job. He had him for a year, and then he left. Thornton, is not ready to play in the NBA yet.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's a good college player. I mean, Thornton's a good college player. I like Thornton a lot. You should have seen him in Chicago. I thought he played well against Penn State in late February when Penn State went out there and won. But then watching him in the tournament, because, they made it all the way to the semifinals, Thornton played terrific. They won 3 games out there. And you could just see in the game against Purdue, they were just
Gassed.
totally gassed.
Yeah.
And the 2 freshman guards for Purdue were already gassed. So, you had all these players out there. They were all tired trying to play the game. So that has nothing to do with the recruiting that's going on there. But this is the transient nature of what we have today. And it's the same thing, for example, in football. So you look at football, we talk about Michigan State with their transfers. They've now had 21 transfer out and 16 transfer in. Wide receivers, Keon Coleman, gone. All right. Okay. They just lost Cade McDonald the other day. McDonald got his degree and then transferred. I think he went to Western Michigan or something like that. But that's... So it goes back to what I talked about yesterday. Everybody talks about culture. So Penn State, let's take the football part. Because, basketball, they have to do what they're doing.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Anytime you bring a coach anywhere or a coach leaves, that's going to happen.
And look how selective Cale has been with transfers here. Selective. Penn State football has been selective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That is how you build a culture.
Absolutely.
Where you've got guys that have been here for a long time. So now you're sitting there, okay, you look at your secondary, who's a leader back there? Well, Keaton Ellis is a leader back there.
Yep.
Right? Okay, been here the entire time. Kalen King's a leader. Been here the entire time. Right? You're starting to see Curtis Jacobs, leader, going into his 4th year. Now you start going through guys like that have been stalwarts for you all the way through. Keandre Lambert-Smith. I've been here the entire time. You're looking at Singleton and Allen. I mean, people gravitate toward them. Same thing with the quarterbacks, Aller and Prbula. You still got Johnson and Warren at tight end. You know, Olu is just through performance is the leader on the offensive line. But Tangwall's been here the entire time. And Caden Wallace has been in. Wallace is a leader. Don't discount Caden Wallace as a leader in the offensive line. He is. And Sal Wormley. These guys have all been here for a long period of time. You know, Trey Wallace is going to his third year at wide receiver here. Now, so this is not a team that is, the foundation of this team is the recruiting and the development. Now you look around and say, what do you add in? It's the programs that you look at and you just see this wholesale, we're in the football building or the basketball building for that matter, where they took out the doors and they installed a revolving one. That kind of tells you that you've got a little bit of an issue there right now. You know, the Colorado thing's a totally different deal. I think he's up to 61 now. But remember.
Yeah.
I want everybody to remember.
Yeah.
Colorado was 1-11 last season.
Yes.
Right? They weren't very good.
No. And he's, Deion Sanders is a guy that can, sell a used cardio with ease. So I wouldn't be overly concerned if you're in Boulder right now. I think the positivity in Boulder is as big right now as it's been in probably 15 years. So
they sold out their spring game in bad weather, and that was not free.
No.
I think it was $10 a ticket, I think.
Yep.
They've sold out their season tickets.
Yeah.
Now it's now Folsom Field is like, I want to say 47,000.
Yeah, it's not very big.
Or something like that. But they sold it out.
Yeah.
A 1-11 program in 2022 has sold out its stadium for 2023 because of one guy.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And his ability to do this is because of who he is.
No doubt. Yeah.
He has, when it comes to the media, who can have the ability to make or break people based on how much they want to pump you up or pile on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
absolutely.
He has always had an aura about him.
Yeah, there's no doubt whether you disliked him or not. No,
and I have no problem.
No, never had. I still.
I've only been around him one time. And the one time I was around was at the NFL. It was its Super Bowl Media Day.
Yep.
And I'll never forget going back. It was at the Prudential Center where the Devils play. And it was the Devils practice arena. In the back is where they had, lunch in between sessions between the Broncos and the Seahawks. So I go back for lunch, and Deion Sanders comes in. And LeVar was there, so that's the reason I got a chance to meet him. It's because LeVar, hey, by the way, hey, how you doing? But he goes walking back to get his food, and he is followed by a pack of cameras. Now remember, there's 4,000 to 5,000 media people, so. No, they're not all doing it, but the pack, and then the people gathered around him, wanting to know what he thought. Now, I don't know if it was just what he thought about the Super Bowl. It could have been about 1,000 other things. I didn't participate, but I just found it interesting that I said, there's a guy that's got some aura.
Right. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You look at, you go back even to his college days. Where did Florida State get that swagger from? I think Deion Sanders was a big part of that, a huge part of that. Yeah. And then you go back to, you look at Atlanta, 1991, the MC Hammer 15 Minutes of Fame is going on, and then you have really a team that just had a lot of confidence, and that was Deion Sanders, big part of that. One that's, no, they lost the division that year, 10-6 and made the playoffs, but ended up beating the Saints in the playoffs anyway. So, and
MC Hammer, by the way, former bat boy for the Oakland A's.
I do remember that. Obviously goes to San Francisco, 1994. That team needed that to win a Super Bowl. They needed that one guy that was going to get you over the hump. He did it. heads to Dallas. Same thing. Yeah. They needed that guy that could compete with San Francisco, get over the hump. He helped a team win a Super Bowl that, in my opinion, had a pretty bad NFL coach in Barry Switzer. I did not think he was a good NFL coach. Good college coach.
Speaks highly of you.
He might. He's still not very fond of the 1994 NFC Championship game, but I did not think he transitioned to the NFL very well. I thought he won with Jimmy Johnson's team. There's no question about that. And obviously you bring Dion into the picture, but it's just everything that he brought for those teams. And then, he gets past his prime a little bit, and the Washington football team and the Ravens. He's obviously not the same player, but everything that he brought to the table in his prime, there were few that had that aura. There were few that had that swagger. There were few that had, the attitude and approach he brought, but it worked.
Well, he made Atlanta Falcon football must-watch TV because of how he played down there.
Absolutely. And that was a team that really, obviously early 80s, they were a conference championship team, but mid to late 80s, they were essentially irrelevant.
Did I ever tell you the Barry Switzer story about this show?
No.
All right. So this is the first time through in the show. This is back in the 80s. And it turned out that the basketball schedule had Penn State playing at Oklahoma on a Sunday, the day after Oklahoma's last regular season football game where they played SMU. So I got a press pass to go cover the game because Penn State's going to play, and if Oklahoma wins, we all know Penn State's going to play Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl for the national championship. So I get a pass. I'm sitting up there. It's over, and the Oklahoma people were terrific to deal with. They knew I was from Penn State. They knew I was there to do the basketball game. And they set up, I got one-on-ones with Jamel Holloway, with Tony Casillas, Brian Bosworth, and last but not least, Barry Switzer. So I got all that. And one-on-ones. These are not 20-minute interviews or anything like that.
There. Yeah,
a few questions here and there. Well, then I go down to Florida, and we did the pregame. There was a show that Nelson Goldberg wanted us to do for TCS, and Gil Santos, John Grant, Stan Savran, George, and I did a 1-hour show with Joe that aired on the network. And I also did this show in the Fountain Blue as well for 2 nights. Now, I don't have to get Joe on the show because we just got him on a taping, and so I'm not going to do something repetitive. And I saw Barry Switzer walking through the lobby, and I said, do you have a few minutes to come on? I mean, it's up to you. I know you're busy. And he says, hey, I know you. He says you came to our locker room after the game and did an interview with me. I said, yeah, I did. He says, yeah, I'll do it with you.
Nice.
Right? So we sit down, headsets on, the whole thing. Right? First caller, phenomenal. The first caller says, I can't remember the guy's name, so just it's Jason from State College.
Yeah.
He says, let me just start by saying, I can't believe I'm sitting here right now talking to Barry Switzer. And Barry says, well, Jason, I never really thought I'd be talking to you tonight either. But he was, he was great that way. It was easy to deal with. So
that's good.
It was a long time ago, man. I mean, we're coming up on.
But you look at that.
That would be 42 yeyears ago?
Yeah, that's wild. Oh, he was coached the Cowboys 30 years ago by now. That's unbelievable. Almost 30 years.
Or no, not 42.
28 years.
It's got to be, geez. So 38 years later, something like that. It's amazing. 37, 38 years later.
And those guys were, Casillas obviously had a good NFL career. Speaking of the Falcons, was a good player of the Falcons, Cowboys. I thought Bosworth in college, just as a college player, took over a game as good as just about anybody defensively. He's a great player. NFL didn't transition there. I think Bo Jackson effectively ended his career when he ran him over. Yeah. I think that's what he's going to be known for life when it comes to the NFL. But I thought, college at Oklahoma, I thought he was one of the best.
Yeah. I mean, he was outstanding. Yeah, I mean, what people forget is Holloway was the quarterback.
Yep.
And like there was still a guy on the team that got a championship ring out of it because he was the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Troy Aikman.
Went to UCLA after. Yep.
I think he broke a bone in his leg.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And,
Yep.
Yeah. Then he eventually, as you mentioned, transferred to UCLA, where he ended up having a great career and was the first overall pick in the whole deal. But, yeah.
Yeah, I give Aikman a lot of credit, too. He was on quite possibly that Cowboy team was amongst one of the worst I've ever seen in 1989. Took a beating. They just came back, took that team to the playoffs within 2 years. Now, the Herschel Walker trade had a lot to do with that, but and Jimmy Johnson, too. But I give Aikman a lot of credit. He took a beating that year.
I know.
Yeah, I think he got sacked 11 times against the Eagles second time around.
And, you wonder why some guys get out of the game earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that'd be something, something like that, you get out of the game earlier. I mean, we never got a chance to see actually how good David Carr could be. He was the first overall pick.
Yeah, with the Texans, yeah.
With the Houston Texans. And he was on an expansion team. He had no chance to show anybody anything. Now, he ended up with a Super Bowl ring out of it.
The Giants,
because he was Eli Manning's backup with the Giants. So, I mean, he's got a ring. But, right. Now, you do get beat up.
Yeah, absolutely.
When that's why people said, "Oh, Lawrence is going to be a star right away." I said, he's with a 1-15 team. I said he's not going to be able to do what he wants. Now, over time, they've gotten better, and they won a playoff game last year. They beat the Chargers, came from behind, then they lost to Kansas City finally. So he's been able to show a little bit more. But early in his career, you're not going to walk in as the quarterback and suddenly you're going to win 7 games.
Nope.
There's a reason. They're 1-15. They're not good.
No, they were a bad team.
Right? They're not good. I remember somebody said, well, they got all 5 offensive linemen back. This is when they drafted Lawrence. And they said, that's good news and bad news. The good news is he's got 5 guys that started last year in front of him. The bad news is it's the same 5 guys that were bad last year. So
no doubt.
Yeah, so there's good news and bad news on those 2 fronts. All right, so I don't think there are any other games on the old schedule here that have been leaked out.
Steelers Bengals week 12.
Oh, Steelers Bengals week 12. There we go.
Not many. No, as far as I know. I believe Christmas night or Christmas Day is Chiefs Raiders first game, Eagles Giants second game. Looks like 49ers Ravens will be the nightcap, it appears.
Well, at least the Ravens have a quarterback.
They do. They paid him quite a bit.
Well, that's probably what you should have done.
Most likely. I think Tom Brady comes back. I think there is a chance they go after him hard. I'm saying he comes back. I'm saying if he comes back last year. Not now. It's not happening. I'm saying if he came back at the end of last year, there's a chance they went after him, yes. I do believe that. No, he's not coming back now. Absolutely not. He's retired. Speaking of which, they're going to honor him week 1 where the Patriots are at home. And the potential opponent that day, not confirmed, but it appears it might be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, the good news is they're honoring Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Even better news for Philadelphia is Tom Brady is being honored, and thus is not going to be playing.
Yeah, they beat him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, okay.
Which not exactly his fault. He threw for 505 yards. I don't think he could have done much more.
That's what somebody said to me. They beat Brady. I said he threw for 500 yards against you. I said,
not exactly his fault.
I think you beat the Patriots, especially their defense. I said, if you want to say he beat Belichick, fine. Yeah. I said, but he threw for over 500 yards.
Yeah.
Which I think is the Super Bowl record.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
We beat Brady. You beat Brady, did you?
Aside from Tom Brady dropping that pass.
Yeah.
And, well,
he got sacked.
I was going to say, the sack at the end where Graham forced the fumble, yeah. But, he didn't do much bad in that game.
We beat Brady. Okay, good. You swagger around your neighborhood, you beat Brady.
Yeah. Beat him one time in Foxborough as a regular. I think it was Chip Kelly's Eagles beat him. That's the only other time I could think of that they beat Brady. Other than that, Brady dominated.
Merrill Reese told me a story about Chip Kelly when he got fired. He said, Steve, I went into the office.
Yeah.
He says, and when something like this happens, he says, look, he said, the front
It's
office
usually
staff,
down,
the
yeah.
secondaries, the secretaries, they're down in the dumps, a few tears here and there. He says, day after they fired him, he said, I walked there and was like, hey, how you doing? And they're all like happy, great.
Well, he after the Cowboys Thanksgiving game, he congratulated Chip and Mark Sanchez. Sanchez obviously was great, and he said, he's the radio guy. Chip says, oh, that's Merrill Reese, for crying out loud. This is not, that's not a guy that is in his first season as your play-by-play. That was, once I heard that story, I thought, are you kidding me?
He's a legend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who works hard.
Yeah.
The reason he's a legend is he works hard. He doesn't take anything for granted. All right, back tomorrow, where the full schedule will be revealed. Do we dare go through the Niners schedule game by game?
It would be painful. They got a tough schedule.
You finished in first place.
That's
what do you
right.
expect?
That's all right. Tough schedule.
Oh. All right, I'm going to give you 23 hours to get out of the fetal position.